Hello and welcome to Voices of BlueScope, the podcast where we go behind the scenes at BlueScope to meet the people who create strength every day. I'm your host, Martin Feld. Thank you for listening. Over the course of this podcast series, we have featured a range of stories from our diverse people around the world. This month, we're featuring some consecutive episodes with one-on-one interviews on the specific topic of migration. In each instalment, you'll hear a conversation with a BlueScope person who has moved to Australia, learning where they've come from, what it was like to relocate to a new country, and what has motivated and challenged them over time, along with the different ways of thinking that they've brought to work. In this episode, you'll meet Bulin Wongtanakiate, who shares her personal narrative of moving from Thailand and becoming a materials engineering cadet at our Port Kembla Steelworks.
My name is Bulin Wongtanakiate. So I'm from Thailand. I moved here since the end of 2016. So I moved here to start my senior years in high school in Australia because I wanted to improve my English skills and to have a better education in Australia. And my mom's already here. She got a business here. So it's a great opportunity to live with my mom again. What brought me to BlueScope, it was during high school when I was in year 12. I have a teacher, English teacher, who suggested me to come to BlueScope to try and apply for BlueScope as an opportunity for me to learn a recruitment process in Australia because I've never actually experienced the recruitment process of a job in Australia before. And when I see the opportunity, I feel like it was a great opportunity for me to try it out and to work in the industry because I feel like it's going to help me throughout my uni degrees and my uni experience and my life experience in Australia. The cadetship program at BlueScope is actually interested me in terms of work experience and also how it would help me with uni and help me to improve myself in terms of time management and project management and improve my self-esteem or self-confidence in living here and connect to more people because I just moved here a couple of years ago and I feel like it's good for me to learn more about Australian culture and to get to know more people and learn and have lots of experience in different fields in the industry. Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought when I heard about BlueScope.
Well, that's fantastic. You sound incredibly motivated and it sounds like you've been busy and doing a lot since you arrived not really that long ago, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
So before we get into your background and your transition to Australia, which I'm very interested in, what was the specific cadetship or role that you applied for with BlueScope?
I applied for materials engineering. I'll be honest that the first time that I applied, I had no idea what materials engineering are, but I was already interested in engineering. I did some research after I applied for what are the materials engineering. I was looking into mechanical and electrical engineering as well, but materials engineering interested me the most because I feel like to work at BlueScope, if I do materials, I'll understand more about the business process. And because I know that BlueScope is a very global company, they have metal coating line, I assume, in Thailand as well. And that's really motivated me to come and work for BlueScope. And I'm really interested in the process and learn how the cadetship program can assist me with starting as an engineering student at uni.
Well, you're right. As far as engineering goes, I mean, we have a lot of different engineering cadets and employees and disciplines, but materials, very important to steel making.
Yeah.
Now, onto that move from Thailand to Australia. When you were in Thailand, you mentioned that BlueScope's a global company, but The idea of moving to Australia, what was that like for you? What did you know about the country? Was it scary to make that shift?
I was a bit nervous at first, but because my initial reason to move here is to live with my mom, and it's sort of because she moved to Australia since I was 8 years old. So I always wanted to move to Australia in the first place. But as I grew up, I sort of have like additional reason to move to Australia, like to improve my English skill and have a better education in Australia. It's not scary, but I was just nervous at first because I didn't have any friends, and I joined high school like in the middle of year 10. It was a bit hard because I didn't understand much of the context in class, but I was able to communicate with my friends quite good enough to make it throughout like year 10. And then it was better in year 11 and 12 after I have a few friends who understand me, and people here are very nice. So I had no problem adjusting to the new culture and new environment. So it was amazing for me.
Were there any things that you noticed that were particularly interesting culturally when you moved to Australia? Things that you had to adjust to or learn to do differently?
Not particularly, but for me, for example, in class or in general, I wasn't very confident person before when I was in Thailand, but like in Australia, all the teacher and people here, they like very supportive and encourage me to do lots of new things and try lots of different things and push me out of my comfort zone. And that's not really something that I experienced before when I was in my country. So it was a bit hard, but it did help me at the end to get out of my comfort zone, try different things. Apply for BlueScope was like a big thing for me. Yeah, in terms of the environment, yeah, it was a big change after I moved because moved from like a big city because I'm from capital city, Bangkok. I was in Thailand, and yeah, move here was totally different. It was a lot quieter, peaceful town, Wollongong, and yeah, I just love it.
Yeah, I mean, I live in Wollongong too, so I would happily sell the benefits. It's a nice place.
Yes, for sure.
On Thailand, I mean, you've given a nice description of the difference in the cities or where you were living, but for people who are less familiar with Thailand or maybe haven't visited, how would you describe the culture or what it's like to live there? And what do you think that you bring to your life in Australia and your work at BlueScope that comes from that Thai heritage or background?
In Thailand, so I haven't been to many places in Thailand, but I grew up in capital city, so it was very competitive sort of environment, culture. And I would say what I've got from that was like I was very like work hard person and very resilient person. Like I'm not scared of change because like my culture shaped me in that way to do our best in everything so that you can achieve your goals and do good at uni and do good at work. And also we learn in our culture, we learn to like help each other and look out for each other. That's also what I learned from my culture that I bring to BlueScope. But living in Australia also helped me fix some problem that I have before and change myself to be better in some way as well. Yeah.
When you're working at BlueScope today, what kinds of thing are you working on? Can you tell us about your role within materials engineering and what some of the tasks and projects are that you have to deal with?
Yep. So I could tell you like go back to my first year because I'm in my third year cadetship right now. On my first year, I was in process team at blast furnace. So pretty much I get to look at the daily data, the process, like the daily process of the blast furnace. But because it was my first year, my role was pretty much just to learn about the process, learn where things are, learn how to fix the problem when there's a problem, and learn who's the best contact if you see something's wrong in the process. And I got to look at the data to see whether this data looks right or not. And if not, then I should report to someone, sort of thing. So my first year was pretty much learning about the process of blast furnace. And because I show some interest in computer science, so my cadet coordinator, he put me into like a tech group role for a year on my second year to work with more like data analysis. And so I get to look into some sort of like the data that they've been collecting, and then how can I convert it into like some sort of program or a PDF form using those data that they've been collecting for like 10 years, and to show that to like operator or system controller so that they can have a look of the overview of the data. And for my third year, I'm in digital transformation team. So I get to work more on the technology side, but it's a bit different. It's not mainly the software, like programming. I get to learn more about different departments. So for first 2 years, I was mainly focused on coke and iron department, but now I get to work with BOS as well. So like more like slab making side, and also get to go to Western Port to learn about the metal coating line, because I get to train people over there about the HoloLens, which one of the projects I worked on, which is the HoloLens is like augmented reality, the headset that we use to build the procedure in there, and then get some operator to use them to perform some tasks using that, and get to build some apps using Power Apps. So my role would be mainly supporting people who try to build some apps and supporting them of how to use things, and also get involved on Pi Vision, generating graph, and do some coding, getting some data to show the graph. So it's generally pretty much like the technology is part of the business for my third year rotation.
How does it feel? Because you mentioned there that you've been training people. How does it feel to have gone from starting and doing a cadetship so recently where you're learning, you're receiving a lot of information, to be imparting information on people? Do you enjoy training others?
Yeah, it was interesting and it was fun actually, because I never expected to do that sort of training part. But yeah, it did give me quite a like some new experience for me to train people, and it's definitely improved my leadership skills and project management and people skill pretty much, because I never gotten to like talk to that many people before coming to this role, and in this role I get to know more people and get to use my skills and then teach people of how to use things and train them. So that's actually make me feel good about it. Yeah, about myself as well.
And in terms of learning, are there things that you're really looking forward to trying or learning, or places that you would like to see your career go with BlueScope?
Not sure much about the future, but for next year, I did mention to my cadet coordinator that I would like to work in different departments. I would like to go to metal coating line, because I like to see the whole process of the business, where I can see the finished product, not only like work like at the back end, see how the metal works and things, but I would like to see like the finished products of the steels. And so it just to give me like better understanding of the entire company, of how the steel works and where to get export to, and how they control the quality of the products. And I'm not sure about this, like after I finish the cadetship program, of what I'd like to do, but so far I really enjoy the whole process of the company. And for the rest of my cadetship program, I'll try my best to learn about the different things and understand the process of steelmaking, BlueScope.
No, I understand that. It's good to think about where you're going, but you don't want to restrict yourself. Be open to opportunities.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, my last question for you really is, for anyone who's thinking about doing a cadetship like you've been doing, or making a shift in careers, or maybe even moving countries like you did, what would be your advice to them in doing something like that?
I would advise to be confident and to set some goals of what you like to do and what your goals going to be to achieve. And and to ask yourself if you actually like doing this and how would you see yourself working at BlueScope and would you enjoy doing this. And I would advise to try and work out whether you're really good at time management, because as a cadet, you have to manage your time to study and work at the same time. But at the end, like if you really want to work at BlueScope, and don't be afraid, just go for it. I guess that's my best advice, because when I applied for it, I was a bit scared, but because I really want to work here, so I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't be scared and just be confident and try my best to work here. And it did change my life.
Changed your life. Well, that's an endorsement. That's fantastic.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you very much, Bulin. This has been wonderful to have you on the show, and thank you for giving your time.
No, thank you for the opportunity, and yeah, have a good day.
We thank Bulin for sharing her story, and we hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure to check the links and show notes for more information about what you just heard. And to discover more of our people and their stories, visit bluescope.com, BlueScope on LinkedIn, and TV BlueScope on YouTube. Thank you for listening to Voices of BlueScope. Until next time.